Teknologi geospasial kini menjadi mesin pencetak uang, utamanya di Indonesia. Esri, salah satu perusahaan teknologi terbesar geospasial dunia, ini turun gunung untuk memenuhi kebutuhan informasi dan data untuk perencanaan tata ruang smart city hingga pengembangan bisnis. Kebutuhan akan data dan informasi geospasial ini juga terlihat dari pendapatan Esri di tahun 2016 yang mencapai 1,1 miliar dolar Amerika atau rata-rata tumbuh sekitar 10%. Bahkan pendapatan Indonesia tumbuh jauh lebih tinggi dibandingkan di dunia, mencapai angka 30% per tahunnya. Seperti apa tantangan dan peluang bisnis informasi dan data geospasial di tanah air? Secara eksklusif, Presiden dan Founder Esri, Jack Dangermond, akan memaparkannya untuk Anda. Bersama saya Pangeran Punce, inilah Economics. Ya, saat ini saya sedang bersama dengan Jack Dangermond, Presiden dan juga Founder dari Esri. Welcome back, Jack, to Indonesia, not only to CNBC Indonesia. Welcome back to Indonesia. It has been like 30 years, right?
Yes, exactly.
That you went here last time. Okay, so do you see any change with
Enormous.
Jakarta?
It's just remarkable when I got off the airport. First off, your airport is just beautiful. It was shocking to me. Last time it was kind of dark and dingy and little light bulbs hanging and different.
Okay, I want to start the conversation because I mentioned Jakarta, and then you also did. I'm going to ask you about the current issue right now that is happening in Indonesia, that Indonesian government has decided to move our capital city or government city to the other island of Kalimantan, and you're the president of one of the world's leading GIS mapping technology company in the world. So what is your advice for to Indonesian government to prep the movement?
Well, this is an opportunity to actually start all over again and build a new, smart, data-driven city. And so the opportunity is just tremendous to re-envision what a sustainable city would be like. So cities all over the world are facing the same kind of pressure that Jakarta is here. Over-congestion, overpopulation, land use conflicts, environmental change, all of these sorts of things are causing people to rethink and leapfrog out and create new cities in the wilderness. And so geography and GIS, geography, the science of our world, allows us to bring many different topics together. Biological topics, physical topics, topography, water, climate, as overlays and map out the best locations, the most suitable locations for new urban development. And then at the same time, being a planner, that was my traditional background, it offers the opportunity to be able to more efficiently organize land uses with transportation systems that create a more intelligent approach and ultimately create more livable cities. So mapping and geography and location are major elements in creating new towns. Having said that, looking around the world at other countries who have started new capitals, Canberra, for example, in Australia many years ago, or in Brazil, Brasilia, or different places, this whole idea of creating a new town in the wilderness is challenging because it starts very slow. It's not like you pick up all these people and move them. It just it's a slow process, and it isn't necessarily something that is a quick fix for the urban congestion problems. So political leaders around the world have used this kind of concept as a sort of political policy vision, and it sounds really good, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of capital. So it's a good idea, but it's not quick, and it will be guided and best directed by strong science, geography, the science of our world, by smart planning, and it could be heavily influenced by the new technologies that are emerging of smart. IoT, AI, machine learning, all these things can help us build and re-envision how we as human beings live on the planet.
Okay, if you see Indonesia, how big the market is for your business, because our government is building streets right now and airports, because you are also working so many airports.
Yes.
How do you see the market here in Indonesia?
Well, for your listeners, I may simply say that GIS is digital geography. That's the way to think of it. This means taking all the different dimensions of our reality and putting it into computers as layers of information.
Yeah.
And those layers of information influence virtually all different activities that humans do. So to answer your question, I simply say, how big is the vision of everything that humans do? Our business started very slow, very modestly, and very gradually grew as people began to get this idea that we can integrate science and thinking, rational thinking, into behavior. So today we have about 350,000 organizations that use our tools. Some of them are quite small in use. They do little projects using digital maps. Other ones are huge enterprises who have automated using geography virtually everything they do, so-called enterprise systems. So GIS has moved from project systems to enterprise systems, much like ERP or other kinds of back office systems. And why hasn't everybody done it? Yeah. It's always my question, actually. I think it's a massive industry that even after 50 years, I see is just beginning.
Is it maybe because the cost is pretty huge if you start a smart city from the beginning? Maybe that's the answer of your question.
Well, smart cities is one application, the planning and designing of a smart city. And cities like Dubai and Singapore and Hong Kong and Los Angeles, they're all implementing smart methods inside of their urban fabric. So I would say, look, last year UPS saved $400 million using our software.
$400 million US.
Yes. Just in the United States, by automating the routing and scheduling of their trucks. And you see consumer companies like McDonald's or Walmart or Walgreens or Harley Davidson, they use our software to be able to locate in the right location their stores. And they use our software to be able to understand markets, like what should I put in my store based on the demographics of people. So digital geography is bringing together all this information and making it available. So what is the interesting challenge for us as business people is to get people to wake up that they can save a lot of money, they can make better decisions, they can create more efficiency, they can design with nature, bringing natural resources, things like conservation values, into the fabric of the way they do their organizations.
So it's expensive, but it's for like long-term investment.
Yeah, it's an interesting, provocative question that you're sort of throwing out. Are accounting systems expensive? I suppose so.
Yeah.
And they start with paper accounting. I mean, this was really invented 100 years ago, new methods for accounting for money. What GIS does is it accounts for everything. Soils, geology, forests, land use, transportation systems, environment. And so being able to bring all that information in to how a company organizes and manages their business, it's enormous in terms of impacts and implications. So spatializing business, spatializing government with more rational methods is what this business is all about. So again, I'll just return and say, we're just beginning on this adventure. And when I look at all the issues, like transportation issues here in the city, I'm simply saying, how can we do this better? Well, we need information. So it's very popular these days, especially with young people, to say data-driven government. How can we actually do government better based on more data, big data, and also tools like AI and machine learning that can exploit that information and be able to do things better. So Esri as a business spends all of its time trying to build tools that help our customers do their work better. Those words are very important. We build smart software tools, and we've done that for 50 years, that help our customers, users, enterprises, do their work, not some concept, but do their real work better. And that means better decision making, more efficiency in organizations. So each year we reinvest about a third of our revenue into an organization that keeps pushing the envelope. So let me make the distinction between our tools and consumer tools for mapping like Google or Bing Maps or other maps. There's two worlds as I see it. Our work is not about making consumer mapping or consumer tools or consumer tech. It's about building tools that help government or businesses in their exercise. And the evidence from our popularity actually is that this has huge benefits to economy, huge benefits into conserving nature, which is a big issue these days, addressing the big challenges of climate change, being able to make places more secure, whether it's the defense force or national security or police departments. All of these segments of our society need spatialization of their information, and of course it includes consumers, but it's first and foremost moving ahead with just getting people's information together. I like to call it geospatial infrastructure.
Okay, I'm going get back to you, Jack. After the break, tetaplah bersama kami. Economics akan kami lanjutkan usai jeda.
They're after competitive advantage, seeing what others can't. A new phrase that we like to call.
Right?
It's one of our logos. And behind that, frankly, is a concept of understanding.
Anda masih menyaksikan Economics dan masih bersama saya, Jack Dangermond, Presiden dan juga founder dari Esri. For this segment, Jack, I'm going to ask you more like a personal question.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're going to find out. My first question will be, you spend your entire career ignoring the capital markets. If we see the billionaires in America, they are very into capital markets. Why, Jack?
Why are they into the capital markets, or why am I not in the capital markets?
Both.
Well, the truth is that when I started Esri, I was an academic. I was at Harvard working in a research lab, and when I left there for purposes of going back to California to take care of my family, I was afraid of them. I was insecure about the idea of borrowing money from anybody, even my family. And so I'm fundamentally insecure. Maybe that's an answer to my entire life. But also, when I was at Harvard, I found something that I really enjoyed doing, which was the field that I'm in, geography and planning, this kind of combination. And I loved it. And I had an ideal vision of being able to use these tools and these technologies to be able to deal with issues of environment and issues of environmental planning and land use planning and decision making.
Okay,
I love that idea.
Why those issues important to you?
Well, at that time, this was during the 60s, the environmental movement was just getting started. The Vietnam War was going on. In my country, there was a lot of turmoil, kind of like right now, actually. And young people were protesting. They were dealing with the issues of waking up the world to the environmental crisis, which has continued, by the way. And I, as a young student, was just blown away by what I thought we could do with computing. The idea of rational thinking and computing as it would apply to these problems. And so when I went back to California, I started this little organization to be able to hunt for applications of this in various ways. And in the first dozen years or so, they were modest. I was able to do a particular project, locate a new town in Venezuela, or do some environmental studies on a coastal zone, or select the route for a transmission line. These were environmental studies using computational geography, or GIS as we call it today,
Yeah.
to be able to make better decisions. So I started doing projects, and it was very difficult because to do a project you have to have cash flow. But I resisted the idea of borrowing money, not because of some idealistic vision, but I just was frankly afraid of failure, of what I wanted to do as part of my life work. Now looking back on it, it was the most incredible thing that I was able to accomplish. And by the way, it's not hard to do. It's easy to do, actually. You just don't have to live the fancy life. You know, my wife says, eat beans, live in your car, drink water.
Okay.
That's the salvation to any problem. In other words, it's a metaphor for not living fancy. So as we did our little projects and we pushed our technology idea, we were able to live modestly. And so as we became more successful, we were able to spend more money on the R&D segment of our work, something I really loved. And so, look, I was lucky. Most people are not so lucky to find something that they just loved and found was very important as a young person. So I urge all young people who are creative, and especially the youth here in Indonesia, to hunt for those things that really make them excited. Whether it's playing music or you know, science or educating or working as in a commercial setting.
So what is your hobby then?
My work is my hobby.
Okay.
I love my work.
So you're a workaholic?
I'm
Can we
not a
say that?
workaholic. No, I am after results in what I do. And I love the idea that my life can actually matter. And this is what, when I listen to young people today, this is what they all aspire to want. They want to find that thing that their life can be more than just a little dirt ball of existence. It can actually mean something. And now with technology, the opportunity to be able to be entrepreneurial and create new innovations that would address the big challenges of our world are here. So I don't want them to be chasing money. I want them to get earnestly into doing their work. And that, I think, is our only shot at being able to have a future as a human species on this planet, is everybody gets in and starts leveraging their individual brains to be able to push forward.
Okay, so you're not gonna retire soon?
No.
Okay. What is your plan then? You're 75 now, right? So what is your plan?
I'm not 75, I'm 74.
74, okay, 74, sorry. Excuse me, 74. So what is your plan then?
My plan is to continue working. And then of course I'll check out. I mean, this is inevitable. But I have friends that are in their 90s, like E.O. Wilson and Charlie Munger. They're still working very hard at their life. And for them, it's a pleasure. So I will serve at the pleasure of my body as long as I can, because this is what I enjoy doing. I mean, if I retired, what would I do? It seems like a meaningless life compared to the incredible life that I live right now.
Okay, what is the effective way to prevent the global warming and then the environment issues that we are facing right now?
Well, right now, population is consuming about 1.7 times the resources that we can sustainably continue on the planet. So I'll check out before it does collapse, but that cannot continue. So we need to deal with the population issue. When I was a kid, we had about 1/3 the population, and then things were sustainable. Today, population is overextended. Also, when I was a kid, there was not so much money around. We didn't have that borrowing instinct that today is fueling so much growth. That needs to be peeled back in terms of consumption of resources, whether it be carbon resources or plastics or forest resources or water resources. We're way overextended. So figuring out how we peel that back but also have a great life is the big challenge. And it comes down to us as individuals, but it also comes down to us as business leaders. How can we create sustainable businesses that are using and leveraging renewable resources, figuring out cities that are more livable and more sustainable. These are all individual actions that are both for individuals, but it's also true for government leaders How can we guide people into more sustainable things? Okay, so then you're asking, what can we do as an individual? I plant trees. If you want to ask me what's my hobby, I plant thousands of trees every year. And
Around the world or in just USA?
primarily in the U.S., around and near where I live. I also support organizations that do that. I mean, I have a young friend who wants to plant it's ambitious, but he wants to plant 1 trillion trees.
Okay. Last but not least, let's talk about your wife. You started, the business with your wife. So what did you guys do, to start the business, but also keep the relationship, healthy? Because it doesn't work for everyone, right?
No, I wouldn't advise it for most.
So there were, fights.
Well, every marriage has sort of ups and downs and tribulations, conflicts, disharmony, as you would call it. That's part of living. But I'm very fortunate to have a friend who has been with me for these years, and we've taken on lots of challenges together. So we've figured out a pattern that works. So it's not a la-la land, idealistic situation. I would simply say be careful for young people to sort of live that Disneyland kind of life. We don't have a Disneyland life. She enjoys working, I enjoy working. We see our life mattering through our relationship.
So do you guys, have like certain job desk? Like this is my job desk and this is yours.
Well, that's true in all organizations. If you want an effective organization, not everybody does the same thing. So I tend to work more on the technology and business development side. She runs all of the back office business side. And I wouldn't say it's separation of church and state, but there's some rules. So I don't get involved in hers too much, except that I can comment, and she doesn't get involved too much in what I do. But we sort of talk about this stuff in a rational way. So we're good friends.
All right. Thank you so much, Jack, for your time with CNBC Nation.
My great pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very nice to have
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Ya, demikianlah wawancara saya bersama dengan Jack Dangermond, Presiden dan juga founder dari Esri. CNBC Indonesia, Beyond Business.